morning, everybody. My name is Stephanie DiStasio.
And I'm Latoya Dixon, and we're here to talk to you about how the South Carolina Department of Education is embracing a startup culture.
And more importantly, how this cultural shift is helping the Department of Education move from a mindset of monitoring to actually mentoring schools and districts. Using this essential question, we are really beginning to look at ways that outside of traditional bureaucratic organizations, how do other organizations function? We're trying to do things differently. We're starting that by working to increase our cross-functionality, and more specifically, we are breaking down our siloed culture that has existed for quite some time and trying to ensure that we have really robust lateral communication.
So our goal is to model those practices that we want to see in schools and districts. So we're actively working to create a culture that will allow us to iterate quickly and thereby increase the quality and effectiveness of the support we provide. But it starts with a strong leader, and so our state superintendent, Molly Spearman, has charged us with her vision and a strong set of goals. She asked us to really reimagine our roles, to move from thinking of ourselves as directors to connectors, to become innovative about long-standing challenges and problems that South Carolina has faced, and to repurpose resources.
She's also asked us to truly challenge the status quo in teaching and learning in our state. And by that, she's asking us to transform our practices, both in the classroom and at the Department of Education. So she's asked us to embrace the diversity of experience that exists in our state and find new pathways for students to be able to achieve the profile of the South Carolina graduate. As you are beginning to hear, the roles and responsibilities in our Department of Education are beginning to shift. We are very fortunate that we have this profile of a South Carolina graduate. It came out of a grassroots effort of superintendents in our state back in 2011. It was then endorsed by business and community leaders across the state, and in 2012 our legislature adopted it, and it is now in regulation in South Carolina that all students are working to achieve this profile of the South Carolina graduate. It's truly our North Star. And therefore, our state superintendent has said we now have to really design and deliver high quality professional learning for our teachers and our leaders in our schools so that every educator in our state is equipped to make sure that every child in our state can achieve this profile.
But we know professional learning won't be enough. So the question is, how do we make this a reality for every student in our state? To increase our effectiveness, we're doing things like blurring hierarchical roles. We're taking an assets-based approach rather than a deficit model. We've formed a cross-agency collaborative working group teams, and our goal is to prioritize our efforts to really build a culture of awareness and to be able to solve common problems of practice. Essentially, what we're working to do is to scale and spread those things that are working and getting results.
So, for example, we had a school recently that uses a flexible modular schedule, and they're in one of our personalized learning competency-based education cohorts, and they let us know that the state reporting system for chronic absenteeism wasn't quite meeting their needs and wasn't meshing with their schedule for a flexible learning environment. And rather than doing what might be done in other states, and probably in ours in the past, of asking that school to fix that problem with Band-Aids and barbed wire, we turned that question on ourselves, used one of those working groups and said, what might we need to do differently from the state's perspective to make this work for you, the school? We're asking you to be innovative, you're trying to be innovative, so how do we change to support that innovation? So that working group made sure to understand the problem firsthand from schools who were experiencing the problem, really listened with an open mindset, and then are in the process right now of making changes to that state system so that it is more aligned to the innovation we're asking schools to be able to introduce. And so this open collaboration, it's part of our strategy to develop a systems approach to personalized learning and competency-based education in our state.
So you might be asking, a startup culture at a State Department of Education, how is that really working? Or is it working? The answer is yes. The way we got 84% of our low-performing schools off the list is by connecting them with offices to provide comprehensive support to address their unique and specific targeted needs. We're working to make sure that each time we work with schools that we're contextualizing the problems that they're facing and really offering them an opportunity to work with us in a very specified and focused manner.
That's right. And so how did we increase the number of schools to 210% engaging with the State Department of Education on personalized learning? Well, quite simply, by making sure that that professional learning was personalized for those school teams, for those educators. It was meaningful, it was job embedded, and they saw results. They saw their practices being able to change in their schools, and they spread the word for us. And so more schools and more educators continue to come to the table.
So the profile belongs to everyone in our state, not just educators. And we know that we have to design career and technical education that meets the needs for our future. And so in doing that, we've been able to increase the number of students earning a nationally endorsed industry credential before they graduate from high school. That alone is evidence of the cooperation and collaboration that exists between educators, the business community, and all the citizens of South Carolina.
So as you can see, we are truly committed to moving from simply monitoring to actually mentoring schools and districts in the state of South Carolina. It truly is a new day. We would love to tell you many more stories and a lot more detail about our journey. So if you have any questions or if you want connections with schools in South Carolina and want to see for yourself the work, please reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you.